be part of the dudes.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another ramble. Another ramble by me alone. Even though I said I was going to get people on this somewhat regularly, it's a lot easier for me to just sit down and ramble on my own, obviously. And today is Friday, the 10th of April. And it just so happens that everybody is away at the Gadget Show today, too. So even if I wanted to get somebody on to ramble with, everybody that I know that would be up for a ramble is away at the Gadget Show. If you went to the Gadget Show on Friday and got to see all the guys that were there, I think like almost everybody from Bristol went, except for maybe Simon, who's still not feeling very well. You might have gotten to like shake their hands or maybe give them a high five or whatever. Events like that are always really fun. I've never been to the Gadget Show before, but I've been to a couple of the Insomnia events, and they're always very fun. It's always really cool to meet up with people and see them. You get to sort of put faces to names sometimes as well. Some people pop up, regularly on places like Twitter and Reddit and stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh, hey, my name is so and so," and you're like, "Oh, yeah, I've seen you around. Like, I've seen you comment on stuff before, or I've seen you talk before to me on Reddit and stuff." And it's always great to put a face to a name, meet people, and just hang out with everybody for like a weekend or even a day in this case or whatever. Gadget Show, I had the chance to go, but because of moving and doing everything else, I wasn't able to. And I sort of knew that it was all going to happen around the same time. So I had to decline. But I think if we're doing Insomnia later on in the summer or whatever, I'll probably do that. And maybe Gamescom as well, which you did last year, which is very good. And usually Blizzard announced something at Gamescom, which is always good. I think last summer when we went, it was the trailer for Warlords of Draenor, which was very good. And then it sort of released a couple of months after. So this year, who knows what it could be? Maybe something to do with like Diablo 3, or maybe something to do with Hearthstone. I mean, Heroes of the Storm is like sort of up and coming. And of course, Overwatch as well. It could just be something new to do with Overwatch or whatever as well. So it could be very, very exciting. But usually I sort of stick to those two things. I sort of stick to doing Insomnia and then and Gamescom. Gamescom not so regularly. Insomnia has been pretty regular over the past couple of years, and it's a fun event. It's really cool. It's not too packed. It's not too busy. And you get to meet up with a lot of people from the UK because it's local to people from the UK. I think apart from Americans, people in the UK are like my second biggest geographical demographic. I think that's probably the case for most people on YouTube, because I think America and the UK are like the biggest consumers of YouTube videos for whatever reason. But I mean, when you look through the analytics, there are lots and lots of different countries that feature, but it's prominently America and UK on top in terms of numbers of people subscribing and watching stuff or whatever. So going to like a smaller... I say it's a small event. It's not actually a small event, Insomnia, because it's a big LAN party. So like a lot of people turn up with their computers to play games against each other, like in a LAN setting. I mean, one we went to last year was in Coventry at a big... it's like an arena. It's like a football stadium, basically, for Coventry, who were a Premier League team. Were they in the Premier League? I don't really know much about football. Apparently, Coventry at some point might have been in the Premier League, but you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, because I could just be spreading just a torrent of bullshit right out of my ass on that. But I mean, the venue was pretty good. It is a big old place. There was like a big tent set up on the football field that had like sort of a main stage and it's like some signing areas and merch areas and stuff. And then inside the expo halls were like all the stands for like new games and games companies setting up their stuff and everything. And it was good. It wasn't too like maze-like. It wasn't too busy, which is always a good thing. The worst is, I mean, Gamescom, if you've ever been to Gamescom, it gets packed. Like it's so busy. It's insane, and like almost not enjoyable. It's so busy. It's hard to get into stuff. You have to queue forever to get into things, to see stuff, and it's just really sort of hard to get around because you're constantly like bumping past people and trying to like sort of muscle your way in past lines to get to the bathroom and stuff. That you have to line up for the bathroom. Like it's fun, but at the same time, it's a little bit too busy. And I'm not sure if that's, I mean, you see a lot of people sort of saying like, oh, you know, it's Gamescom's changed a lot in the past couple of years. It's gotten too big. It's not the same as it was or whatever. I mean, it's still a very fun thing to go to, but it can be a little bit busy. Not so much Insomnia, which is, like I said, a UK local thing, not too busy. And it's cool to meet up with people that like watch your videos or, you know, listen to this kind of stuff. Me just rambling on forever and ever and ever. So yeah. So the guys are all at the Gadget Show today. I am just off the back of moving. Like everything is pretty much done now, which is great. We're settled into our new place. There's a couple of boxes with some stuff left, but we've been pretty good. We've been sorting out all of our stuff that we didn't even realize we still had, stuff that's just been like sitting in the back of a cupboard for 5 years or whatever. So we've had lots of boxes to take to like local charities and stuff, like clothes and old toys. My son's like older toys that he never plays with anymore because he's like into like more sort of big boy toys now. Like he's got like a Scooby-Doo mansion and stuff, which is a far cry from, you know, like rattles and stuff that they play with when they're babies and whatever. So some of that stuff we gave away just to like save space and stuff. And I guess there's people out there that can use it as well. So rather than it just sitting in a cupboard doing nothing, somebody out there is probably playing with the toy now. So that's always nice too. So we've had like a huge clear out and all of like the sort of like legally stuff, you know, like documents and stuff that was like still outstanding is all done. So it's great. It means that I can just get back to sort of get back into like a better routine with putting out videos. Following up the series that I'm running right now. I'm playing 4 games at the moment on my channel, and I have been for like the past, month, I guess. And it's been really good. It's been really, really fun just playing games that I actually haven't played before and that I've always wanted to play. And I get to play them and I get feedback on, you know, what I might be doing wrong or things that I could try to do and things like that. And it's really great. It has been really good. Grim Fandango is very good. The original Fallout is very good. I mean, they're both classic games that people always sort of talk about and say that they're amazing. So it's been very fun to play them. And then, of course, City Skylines is awesome. I'm really enjoying it. There's lots of mods coming out for it as well, which are very good. And Hotline Miami 2 is just straight up good. The first one was amazing. It was probably one of my favorite games. Well, I'd say it's probably one of my favorite games of all time, actually. But certainly when it came out a couple of years ago, it was my favorite game at the time. I couldn't put it down. I was just playing it nonstop. And Hotline Miami 2 is kind of the same, actually. I haven't had as much time to play it as I did the original Hotline Miami, but I'm still enjoying it just as much. I like the new maps. I like how big the maps are and stuff. Sometimes, like, the maps are a bit big. Some of the areas are a bit spread out, so you get shot from off screen without realizing it and stuff. But it doesn't happen that often, and it's not too much of a problem. I think that was one of the bigger gripes from people about Hotline Miami 2. But for me, I don't mind it so much. And actually, I just think Hotline Miami 2 is a great sequel to Hotline Miami. They didn't change anything for the worse, I don't think. And it's just very good. It's more story focused than the first one, I think, which is good too, because the story's kind of cool. If confusing at some parts, but it's still very, very good. And the game just flows really well, and it's very fun. So I think going forward, I think once I think Grim Fandango and Hotline Miami are probably the most likely to wrap up sooner rather than later. So what my plan is when Hotline Miami 2 ends and Grim Fandango ends as well, City Skylines will keep playing because it's awesome, and I want to build a really, really big city. And Fallout as well. We need to get back into that because my plan is for Fallout. I want to finish Fallout 1, but then I want to play Fallout 2, which is apparently like the best Fallout. Even though it's old, Fallout 2 is sort of universally accepted as like one of the best Fallout games. And then Fallout 3, if I can get that working, I would love to play that as well because I just love the whole... I love Fallout. I love the setting for Fallout. I love the stories. I love the vaults. I love everything. I really enjoyed Fallout New Vegas, and I feel like I need to play the other Fallouts as well to fully appreciate the universe or whatever. And then maybe by the time I'm done playing every Fallout game that has ever been made, except for maybe some of like the crappier ones, because like some of them, I think some of them, there was like a turn-based one which maybe wasn't like that good, or maybe I've misunderstood that. Maybe it is very good, and maybe I need to play it. But I seem to remember one of them not being so good. So maybe it's worth skipping that one. But by the time I've played all the Fallouts that I want to play, and I feel like I'm like all caught up with everything to do with Fallout, maybe at that point, Fallout 4 will come out. Because there's been like possibly maybe some like... not even teasers, but like rumors about like a new Fallout, or people are very hopeful of a new Fallout. But I mean, if it's Bethesda, it could just be years and years and years before we get that. But I've got years and years and years to wait, I mean, for a new Fallout. And if one does come out, wow, that'd be exciting. And it would be great to have finished all of the previous Fallouts before that comes out. So I'm kind of like on a deadline, but at the same time, it's probably like a super long deadline and probably not something worth worrying about because it'll probably be years if it ever even does happen. But let's be hopeful. Let's be hopeful that it happens. Like a new Fallout comes out, and let's hope that it's like amazing. Like it's like even better than Skyrim, if that's even possible. Can you imagine like a new Fallout that's better than Skyrim? That'd be crazy. And let's hope that maybe like in the next year or two it comes out, and then I've finished all of the Fallouts before that, and that would be great. Right? Am I right when I say that? I feel like I'm right when I say that. It would be awesome. But yeah, Fallout is like a personal fave for me. So I think when Hotline Miami 2 is done, Grim Fandango is done, and we're left with Cities and Fallout, we can probably start playing something else, and then dotted in between, of course, one-offs and stuff, because there are games coming out. It's a little bit of a slow month this month, I think, for releases and stuff like that. Last month was like super exciting because we had City Skylines, we had GTA 5 Heists, and Hotline Miami 2 all in the same day. So that was crazy. This month, there's not really much coming out as such. GTA 5 for the PC is coming out, which will be very good. I need to get a new hard drive because it's enormous. It's like 60 gigs to install, which is like half my SSD. So I'll probably have to get another SSD just for GTA. A game that I'll be buying for the third time, and then actually having to buy new hardware to accommodate it as well. So actually, Rockstar's done very well off the back of me. I mean, I bought it for the 360. I bought it for the PS4. I even bought like $1 million for GTA Online, like one of the card things, because... Oh, or did I get it free? Somehow I happened across $1 million of GTA Online money as well, which was very nice. But now I'm going to be spending like £40 on buying it for PC, and then plus having to buy an SSD to accommodate it as well, which seems crazy, but it's probably going to be worth it because I mean, PC version is going to have mods and stuff like that, and I think mods alone are probably makes it worth it. And of course, all the crazy extra graphical options and stuff like that, which are going to be very nice. And I do genuinely prefer playing games on the PC than I do console. Although in saying that, GTA 5 for the consoles is very, very good. It's very fun. I'm not a very console-y person, but GTA 5 I've enjoyed the shit out of. I really, really like that game. It's an excellent, excellent game. So looking forward to that. So as I was saying, I think once the 2 other playthroughs wrap up, we can probably start on something else, maybe. Leave a slot open in the schedule for like one-offs and whatever else and stuff like that. But it sort of opens up more time for streaming, okay, on Twitch, which is something that I did a lot of last year. And I get a lot of comments from people asking, are you going to get back into streaming? You should do some more streaming. Are you going to play some more Hearthstone or whatever? And the answer is yeah. I really do want to get back into streaming. Streaming is... It's such a weird thing. Streaming is so different to YouTube. Like with YouTube, you just sort of, you put out a video that is like a sort of like a half hour or 20-minute standalone thing that you can just do. You don't have anyone talking at you. You don't have to like answer any questions or whatever. You just sit there and you just talk and you play a game for however long, and you cut out the bits where you're like burping or where you stand up to go to the bathroom and other bits and pieces like that. But it's like a completely different like approach to creating content. With Twitch, you've got people in the chat talking to you, asking you questions, telling you to do things and stuff. And it's a much more interactive experience. You feel like you're hanging out with a lot of people. And of course, when you're playing stuff on Twitch, you don't tend to just go onto Twitch and stream for 20 minutes. You go onto Twitch and you end up streaming for like 3-4 hours at a time, sometimes less, sometimes more, depending on what's going on that day. But I feel like it would be nice to... I don't want to have anything like scheduled, because I don't want to have anything so scheduled where it's like, okay, from 1 o'clock in the afternoon until 6 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday and on a Friday, I'm going to stream or whatever. I'd like it to be like a lot more sort of natural or whatever. And I would love to play City Skylines. I would love to stream City Skylines, maybe start like a new city, just start from scratch, just build something really nice, detail it, just have fun, hang out with people, and just do something like that. Hearthstone, I wouldn't mind playing again. I haven't played the new adventure expansion, the Black Rock Mountain thing. I haven't bought it yet. I haven't even played it yet. I got so salty off the back of GVG coming out and playing the latter pretty extensively, for me anyway. I think I peaked at rank 4 when GVG came out 1 month, and it like sort of, I had to take a break from Hearthstone. I was getting just so salty and I couldn't. It's not me. I'm not naturally a very salty person, but Hearthstone just brings out the fucking animal in me for some reason. I find it very frustrating at times. It's a very fun game. And I do love it, and I probably will go back to playing it. Streaming it maybe, but I'd like to stream something that's just a bit less sort of like involved sort of thing, like something like City Skylines or any sort of city builder, or maybe like a slower paced RPG. Like we streamed RimWorld at one point, and that was really cool, and we could probably do that again. Actually, RimWorld is an awesome game, and it's been updated a lot. Orcushin would be another great one to stream, I think, too. Because games like that, where there's not a heck of a lot going on that you don't need to concentrate on, means that I can talk to people more, we can hang out more, we can joke around and look around on the internet and stuff like that. And that's the kind of streaming I like to do. I like to just like shoot the shit with people and chill out and stuff like that. And I think that would be really great. So I think once the schedule sort of lightens up a little bit, I can get back into streaming more regularly for a couple hours a day. It'll probably still be, I know I say I don't want to do anything super scheduled, but I do sort of work on some form of schedule, and that's like a Monday to Friday sort of business hours things, because I have a family that I like to spend time with, like in the evenings and on the weekends and stuff like that. So streaming will probably happen more or less in the afternoons, I would imagine, so that I can still do YouTube stuff like in the mornings or whatever. And then time permitting, working around sort of like being away and stuff like that. But it would be nice to get back into streaming somewhat regularly. Seeing people playing games in a bit less of a throttled way. I mean, the way that I've been recording recently has been very good for me, actually, because it means that the gameplay isn't so throttled, because I'm playing these games sort of every day now, instead of, just recording for like 2 hours a week and then coming back to the games like a week later or whatever. I mean, with moving and stuff, it's been a little bit different because I haven't really been like in my office that much recently. It's only now like the past 3 days that I've been consistently coming back in, getting stuff done or whatever. But now that like most of the busy stuff is done, I should be able to come back in, get into a better flow, and then still have time to stream for a couple hours a day as well, which would be nice. So I don't know when that will start. I need to like test my equipment and stuff. I've gotten like a new mic, new headsets and stuff like that. I've got like a new camera and everything. So like I've got stuff that I need to set up still for it and test out and whatever. I might do that sooner rather than later, just so I know that I'm ready to go, sort of thing. Fuck around with like overlays and stuff like that. I probably need to update like the information on my Twitch page and stuff like that if I actually want to have like a proper go at it or whatever. But it'll be fun. I still think my main focus will be on the YouTube side. because I think most of my content exists on YouTube, and then some of the better stuff that happens on stream or whatever, we can probably just like compile into stuff that can go onto YouTube as well, just as like an extra for people that don't keep up with Twitch or have time to watch streams or whatever. People who prefer sort of getting bite-sized stuff on YouTube, we can put stuff on there so that people don't feel like they're missing out or whatever. We've sort of done that like in the past and whatever, and it's worked out. It's just getting into the right state of mind to doing it or whatever. But I feel like it'll be good. I feel like I can do it. I feel like I really want to do it as well. So at some point, probably in the near future, I'd say I'll start streaming again, and it'll be good fun. It was good fun doing the Hearthstone stuff. This time, I think we'll probably do more variety games sort of thing. Maybe like some of the Telltale games. So that was fun too. Some of those Telltale games are really great. Definitely City Skylines. Maybe some RimWorld, and whatever else comes along. There's always like something new coming out that's worth playing. That'll be fun. So we'll do it. It'll be wonderful. I hope. I'm really bigging it up as like this wonderful thing. It might be complete shit. I mean, it is entirely possible. So another thing I wanted to talk about today. I actually had a couple of things I wanted to talk about, but I've rambled so much now that I don't even know if I can get back around to them. One thing that I did a lot of over Easter. I hope you guys had a good Easter, by the way. Myself, my Easter was very good. I did a little bit of work. I had to do like some painting and stuff. We had a whole bunch of stuff to do like in and around the house and stuff, which was great. And then on the Sunday and the Monday, I basically didn't have to do anything, which was really nice. I just got to sit around, watch TV, movies and stuff, and just spend time with my family. And that was really, really great. One thing that I started doing a lot of, and this is something that like I come back to quite often, is I started watching music documentaries, and I really love music documentaries for some reason. They're just, I find them really awesome, really interesting, and really awesome. I don't even really mind what genre the music documentary is about. I just find the whole thing so fascinating. The whole music industry, as it was, as it is now, the people involved, like the story of people being very creative and like writing these songs and playing them like certainly back in like, let's say like the 80s or the 90s, it was very much you didn't have the internet obviously back then. Like the internet came out sort of mid 90s I guess, and didn't really take off until like late 90s I guess. But you always have these stories about musicians that, they played their guitar for 7 hours a day in their bedroom, and they wrote all these songs, and it was amazing. They wrote all these songs, and then they get discovered because they had to play like in clubs and small venues or whatever, and finally they just snowballed and get discovered and picked up by a record label, and then they're on MTV, and then blah, the rest is history. They just go and they start selling out stadiums and everything. And I love the whole journey of that. Like I just think that that's really awesome. So like a lot of old rock bands, like I'll watch documentaries of. I used to, and I still do listen to like a lot of rock from like the 80s and the 90s. I mean, I don't know if it's because I grew up in the 80s and was born in the 80s and was a teenager in the 90s or whatever, but for me it feels like there like a lot of amazing music came out in the 80s and the 90s, and that it could just be because when you're younger, I think this is sort of like how it works. It's certainly how it works for me. In the 80s and the 90s, I was into music, okay? Like new music that was on the radio and stuff like that. When you're younger, you sort of pick up on it. All like the bands from around the time sort of thing. And it's something that you can keep up with. I used to buy like magazines. Like my mom used to listen to lots of music from like the 60s and 70s, and she used to get like Rolling Stone magazine and stuff. So like I was always sort of like up to date on music, and I always like appreciated sort of older music as well from like before, when I was born and stuff like that. Because my mom used to listen to a ton of like Led Zeppelin and the Beatles and like the Rolling Stones and like sort of like older bands for me at the time, but that were still like very significant sort of going into the 80s. I mean, they still are now. I mean, these bands are decades gone, and still like these albums are still considered classics that everybody listens to or whatever. But certainly in the 80s, like the late 80s, going into the 90s, you had like the grunge explosion. You had in the late 80s, you had like that metal explosion, like all the metal that came from like the Sunset Strip, sort of like Guns N' Roses and like Poison and Motley Crue. All that stuff exploded, got very big. Get like Van Halen and stuff sort of came out off the back of that, like White Snake, like all like that, the sort of like the big Hairspray rock bands from the late 80s. Grunge exploded in like the early 90s, and a lot of this stuff sort of correlated with MTV coming about, and all of this music was just so available to people all of a sudden, where it wasn't so much before. Before MTV, you had to sort of like listen to the radio, you had to go out, you had to buy the albums, you had to go see the shows and stuff like that. But when MTV sort of came about and music videos started coming out, people still did all that, obviously, but it just meant that they could enjoy this music and see these people whenever they wanted to. You could just record it on your VCR or whatever, and you had these music videos that you could watch, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it was great and stuff. And now, of course, like with the internet, it's even more available. You can listen to music and pirate the shit out of it and listen to it to death and stuff like that. But so I got to grow up during all of that, and I listened to all of that at the time. And then, of course, hip-hop, I started listening to, like, in my mid-teens. It started getting very big in the early 90s as well. I listened to, like, a lot of East Coast hip-hop and stuff. So all of these things I go back to, and I watch documentaries about all these people that I used to listen to, all these bands that I used to listen to. Now that I'm a bit older, and I'm in my 30s, I still listen to all this music. I still listen to music that I listened to when I was sort of in my mid-teens, late teens. I don't really listen to new music. Like, I don't know any new artists. I don't really know any new songs apart from stuff that gets played on the radio. I mean, I don't even really actively listen to the radio. Sometimes it's on in the car. Sometimes you hear songs like in like a coffee shop or whatever, if you go in briefly to buy a coffee. And, if on the news, sometimes they show videos if there's like some new controversy where somebody's just like decided not to wear clothes in their music video or whatever and stuff like that. But generally, I don't really know like anything about music these days. Like, I'm just sort of like stuck in some sort of bubble where I listen to all the stuff that I used to listen to growing up. And then further to that, I have like an appreciation for things that inspired the music that I used to listen to growing up. So you sort of delve into these people that were your idols when you were in your teens and late teens and stuff, and then you sort of go back further to see how they were inspired by other bands that they grew up listening to, and then you sort of, instead of listening to new music, I sort of listen to older and older music, which is great too. But it seems backwards. Like, I feel like I should be listening to new music because maybe it's great and amazing and whatever. But I'm not. I'm listening to even older music than I used to listen to in a lot of cases, and it just seems weird, but awesome at the same time. I mean, there's a Straight Outta Compton movie coming out soon, which is like, I think, produced by Ice Cube and Dr. Dre, which is probably going to be amazing. It's about their whole story, about how they formed NWA, and how they eventually ended up breaking up, and then Eazy died of AIDS, sadly, and stuff. And I think the movie is going to take place between 1986 and 96. Is it 96? I think Eazy died in 95, 96, possibly. I can't remember off the top of my head, but apparently the movie is just going to end basically when he passes away, because that's pretty much the story of NWA as it was, sort of thing. Like, Ice Cube left early on, and then Dr. Dre left as well. Sort of did his own thing with Suge Knight and everything, and it's really interesting. If you were into that music at the time, or if you got into it recently or whatever, it's probably going to be very, very good. The story itself is very interesting. I mean, when that music came out in the first place, it was super controversial. Like, they were getting letters from the FBI saying, like, you can't say fuck the police and stuff like that. It's inciting violence and everything. And it was crazy. It was just a really crazy time. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the US at the time. There's like a lot of social movements happening, and that was that resonated back then, sort of thing, and it was crazy. It's probably going to be very, very, very good. But I like the fact that I grew up during this time where all this stuff was happening. None of this stuff affected me in any way. I grew up in a suburb in Canada where life was pretty easy. Like nothing really happened. But all this stuff was happening around you, it was in the news, and, you started seeing all of these records coming out that had like parental advisory and explicit lyric warning signs on them and stuff. And it was awesome. Like being a teenager at the time when that kind of stuff was coming around and everything. And, when you're a teenager, you're all angsty and you don't like authority and you don't like your parents and stuff like that. So all this stuff when it was coming out was amazing. It was really great. So I've been watching just tons and tons of documentaries about music that I was into and that I'm still into. It's very interesting. A lot of people said that I should pick up Sound City, which I did, and I'm going to watch. That's Dave Grohl made this documentary about Sound City, which is this like famous studio in California where Nevermind was recorded and like Tom Petty recorded and all these great artists like Fleetwood Mac and stuff. And I believe the documentary is just about how the music industry has changed. It's gone digital now. Sound City was this amazing place that a lot of amazing albums were made, but it's just been superseded by like the internet and the digital age and stuff like that. I think that's what it's about anyway, which, it's quite right, I guess, too. But it's meant to be amazing. And I can't wait to watch it. I'm really looking forward to watching it. So if you're into music documentaries and you have suggestions, I'm always up for a music documentary. Let me know on Reddit or whatever, Twitter. Give me some suggestions. If you've seen anything recently that's very good, it can even be about new music. I mean, I don't know much about new music, but like I said, I really do appreciate a music documentary. So if you have recommendations, by all means, let me know. Very exciting. Man, I love a music documentary. It was like the 7 generations of rock or something like that. It was on BBC. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it basically sort of, every episode was an hour long and it covered like an era of rock. So you had like early rock, and like the sort of like 1950s, sort of rock. So like they covered like, what did they cover? They covered like the Beatles, and then it sort of went into like Hendrix and Led Zeppelin, and then Queen, and then it sort of progressed into like Guns N' Roses and like Stadium Rock, and Nirvana were in there as well, and like Metallica, like because I mean even though not all these bands were strictly rock, they sort of I guess just grouped them into like the sort of evolution of rock sort of thing. And it was really, really interesting. It was really awesome. I remember when it was coming out, it was like a 7-part series or whatever. And it was very, very good. I need to like find it again because I wouldn't mind watching it again. But like for me, it was great because again, loving music documentaries and just like loving a lot of these bands that they were talking about and stuff. It was perfect. And now I need to go. I will actually go find it in a minute. Great. I did the co-optional last night. It was very fun. It was nice to hang out with Jesse Dodger and TB and talk about games. I felt like this time it went a lot better than it did last time. I'm not only playing WoW these days. I'm playing all sorts of different stuff. So I had a lot more to talk about. And I know them all a lot better now than I did the first time I was on the show. So I felt a lot more comfortable like joking around with them and talking to them and stuff. I mean, the dynamic's always going to be a bit strange because with 4 people, it's hard to sort of talk at length. And I, of course, love talking at length about everything and nothing at the same time. So the dynamic's always going to be a bit sort of limited in that sense. But I still think it went really well. I had a really good time. There's lots of exciting games coming out, and there's everybody seems to be playing different stuff. I learned about some games that I would like to try. I want to try that Din game that Jesse was talking about, the one where like you're a really cool guy walking down the street and slowly more and more people start coming up to you and asking you to do stuff. That sounds awesome. I love like quirky sort of weird games like that. So I'll definitely try that out. So that was last night. And I think we might play Killing Floor 2 at some point. TB was saying that he's got keys for it and stuff and that we can maybe play it. So that would be fun. I enjoyed Killing Floor 1. I used to play it quite a bit actually, with some friends. We used to hook up and play, and we used to play with this guy that played Counter-Strike Source kind of competitively. Like he followed tournaments or played in tournaments and stuff. So he would just like, he insisted that he had to be the chainsaw guy in Killing Floor. Like he would use the chainsaw almost exclusively, and he would scream at us like orders and stuff like that. But it was very effective and funny at the same time. But we did well. Like we had like a good team. It was really, really fun. So I'm looking forward to Killing Floor 2. It should be good. There's some mechanic apparently where gore piles up on the floor, like a lot. Which sounds great, and shotguns that rip people apart as well, which of course is also very exciting. So I'm looking forward to that. And sort of tonight, you guys aren't going to get this until Sunday, but it's Friday. Tonight, Season 3 in Diablo 3 starts as well, so I'll probably make a wizard. And there's new sets and there's new legendaries and stuff because patch 2.2 just went out. I don't know if you follow Diablo 3. I still very much like Diablo 3. I sort of follow the scene, streamers and stuff like that, and I love playing it in my spare time. So I will definitely be playing that this weekend alongside probably some City Skylines and some other stuff as well. Great. All right. Well, I think that's enough rambling from me once again. Next time I do a ramble, like next week, I will for sure get somebody else on because I know a lot of people are saying, oh, I like the rambles, but it'd be great if you got like some more guests on or whatever. I'll get some guys from the Yogscast in for sure, and maybe even some guys from outside the Yogscast as well, if I can convince people to sit around and listen to me for like a half hour at a time or whatever. It'll be fun. I'll find somebody anyway. But until then, enjoy your weekend. Have a good one. The weather is like finally improving now. It's like almost summer. So try to go outside at least once. I mean, I won't blame you if you don't, because personally, I don't really like going outside. But it is good for you. I think there are vitamins to be had and stuff from going outside. So try to. But if you don't, who cares, right? You got a computer. You got games. You can have fun inside too. And that's probably what I'll be doing as well. Excellent. All right. Well, as usual, thanks very much for listening and watching and stuff like that. If you have anything to say to me at all, I'm on Twitter. I'm on Reddit. I'm always checking stuff. I'm always up for a good chat and a chinwag about anything, especially music documentaries. So give me a shout. And until next time, I will say thank you and goodbye.
I want